Hello my beautiful friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Nova Gnome Creations and I'm Nova. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. And if you're not new, thank you for coming back and watching my videos and hanging out with me. Today, if you don't know, which I didn't know until a week and a half ago when I found out and wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, is National Granny Square Day. So today I thought we would do something a little interesting and we would celebrate granny squares with a little journey through my granny squares. So this is going to be a pretty funny video. I'm kind of exposing myself out here today with some pretty janky looking granny squares from the beginning of my crochet journey. And I'm going to kind of walk you through my crochet journey in the medium of storytelling of granny squares. You may not have heard of it, but it's a language. People tell stories through granny squares. So first off, you may notice, if you haven't seen this in other videos, is my granny square hat. I've made 3 of these now. I want to make a colorful one. I was just talking about this to my husband. I really want to make one that's in like purples and blues and pinks and stuff like that. And the only reason I haven't is because I know that it's going to read as psychedelic, which is not my intention. My intention is just that I like mushrooms. I think they're so adorable and I like bright colors. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. So keep an eye out for that. I think soon I'm going to make a brightly colored granny square or mushroom square hat. So without further ado, time to show you some very, very questionable granny squares. So for a little bit of context before I show you this monstrosity of a granny square, I learned to crochet last year, and I know I feel like I've been talking about this a lot in my recent videos, but I learned to crochet on a long drive from Michigan to Texas. I had like a little start to crochet kit. It was just like a little boy kit. It came with hooks. It came with like a little booklet. I think it came with some little stitch markers. I think that's where I got those really weird spring stitch markers that I was talking about in another video that I don't like. But yeah, I think that's where those came from. I just realized. And I had been having this kit for quite a while. I actually had planned to learn to crochet after a surgery during some downtime, and that just didn't happen. That's like a whole nother story. But, yeah, so I had this kit and I was like, you know, I'm sitting in the car. I can't really do much because I can't read in the car. It makes me nauseous. And I was like, not sure if I'd be able to crochet in the car either. But I was like, you know what? I'll find out. So I pulled this out, and true to me always, I've tried to learn to knit several times. And I always try to get like these cute books to learn to knit. And I just can't learn from a book how to do something the first time. And so true to me, that book did not help me. But you know what did help me? Good old YouTube. YouTube was my wellspring of knowledge, and it what made me be able to crochet. I had nobody else to teach me. I had no prior knowledge of crochet. I completely learned from YouTube, and I will always be super thankful to YouTube and all of the Yarny family creators on here, because you guys are the reason that I can crochet. So what I started out by doing was learning how to make a granny square, because I don't like to just like learn how to do something the right way. Like, I know I probably should have been learning how to make my stitches and learning how to do like swatches of stitches and things like that. But I wanted something where I like felt like I was creating something and would have a finished item when I finished it. So I was like, I'm going to do a granny square. It seemed like a natural place to start. I'm trying to remember whose... It might have been Hooked by Robin. I cannot remember. It was so long ago, and I definitely had no like intentions back then of like creating a YouTube channel or anything, so I didn't try to remember the creators for the videos I was watching. But I watched someone's How to Make a Granny Square tutorial and dove right in, and that's what I did for that like 20-hour car ride. By the way, today I am just drinking some tea in my little color changing confetti Starbucks cup. I love these cups. I have like 3 of them. They're all different. But this one has purple confetti and it changes color when it's cold. So I love that. But yeah, anyway. So without further ado, here is my first granny square. And don't mind this. This is just where the color started to change because it was a mandala cake. So for one, it's funny that it's a mandala cake because I think that just shows that I went in and bought like what yarn appealed to me and had no idea what I was looking at. Because this was probably not the yarn I should have chosen to learn to crochet with, but you know, it be like that. So this is my first granny square, you guys. Make sure it's focused so you can see in all of its glory. So yeah, there's a magic circle in there somewhere. I think it might be that. I'm not even sure how many rounds this was supposed to be. This is hilarious. Like, I really have no idea what I did. I was proud of this, you guys, because it came out being relatively square shaped. I was like, I crocheted. I mean, I wasn't wrong, but like, I was wrong. So yes, this was my first granny square. And then they got a little bit better. That took me quite a while, by the way. But I was learning. So here was my second granny square. And it has more of a discernible center now. I don't know what this is. This isn't even where my granny square ended. It ended up here. So it's not like I just continued extra rows or something. I'm not sure what happened over there. But yes, I think this was my second granny square. And then this was my third granny square. But you can actually see that I got better fairly quickly. I mean, they're just granny squares, but they were like me learning to crochet. So honestly, looking at them now and seeing the monstrosity that is the first granny square, I'm pretty impressed with the fact that this was my third one. Now, like I said, those took me forever, so that was actually it for my 20-hour car ride. Of course, I wasn't crocheting the whole time. But yeah, these were my first items that I ever made. Here is my very first item that I ever made. I'm so glad that I still have these for Granny Square Day. This was just too perfect to pass up this storytelling moment. And after that, I made more granny squares. I'm trying to remember which ones of these came first. I think these ones came first. So I was at the orange part of this mandala cake. So I'm not going to show you each of these because they're going to be pretty repetitive, but I've got a little stack, a little foursome of granny squares. They are not the same sizes, but they are much more square looking and much more like you can tell what's happening. You can tell what stitches are going on here and where the magic circle is and stuff. The magic circle might be kind of giant on some of them and not pulled closed enough, but you can definitely see the intention a lot more here. I think this was my attempt at weaving in my tail from my magic circle, which makes me laugh because it's like, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like some really loose string. I think that was my attempt at weaving in my tail. You can kind of, yeah. So anyway, those were my second tier of my crocheting and also granny squares. And then I moved on. I was very excited that I now knew how to crochet. So I went to the store and I got some new yarns to crochet with. So I got these, and I don't remember if these are Red Heart Super Saver. I think these are Red Heart Super Saver. So, and obviously I switched to a different pattern because I felt like I mastered the first one. And I made these. And once again, I'm so sorry. I don't remember whose tutorial I used. I definitely used a YouTube tutorial. Somebody else, if you recognize this, feel free. It's a hair. Feel free to link it below. But yes, I ran out and I bought all these sparkly yarns and made 2 granny squares and part of a 3rd granny square. So this was apparently how these granny squares look when they're not on their finished square product. And then also you can see that I used the mandala cake for the middle of this. And then I switched to this one, which are like 2 different weights of yarn. So that's pretty funny. Not that I wouldn't still, you know, use 2 different weights of yarn. YOLO. Yeah, I use whatever I want, but I'm actually like pretty impressed with the way these little stitches look. Good job, early crocheting me of last year. And so that's pretty much the beginning of my granny square journey, because after this I went off the rails and jumped into amigurumi, and you guys have been along for a good chunk of that. Yeah, so that's pretty much what happened. I made some granny squares and then I was like, I know how to crochet, time to make plushies. And I started making amigurumi, and then I sprinkle a few things that aren't amigurumi here and there. But recently I've started playing around with granny squares again. So I made a granny square hat that you can see on a video from 2 months ago, I think. And I have 1 square from it, which if you watch those videos, you'll know why, because I had to frog the hat and take the granny squares out and remake it, because my silly self was not paying attention and accidentally put 1 too many granny squares into the hat and it came out ginormous. But obviously you can see that there is a massive difference between this granny square and this granny square. And then I've been working on, I just thought I would bring all my granny squares out for today. I've been working on just some, what would you call this? Like a burnt orange, I think. I've been working on just some, plain old regular granny squares in this color, to eventually be something for my sister. I have no idea what yet. I have like 5 of those. And then I pulled out, this is actually a nice little comparison. I pulled out that mandala cake that I had originally been making granny squares in, and I've been making granny squares in it. So I'm doing some nice big granny squares. Once again, no idea what I'll do with these, but they're nice to just do when I feel like working on something small and simple and not having to think. So I'll just quickly run you through these. The color pooling is a little odd on some of these because I did not color control. So you end up with things like this. But this is just a easy, I'm not going to care too much about what I'm doing project. And I think this is like 7 rounds of size. But you guys, this compared to that first granny square, I've come very far. I just had my 1-year anniversary of crocheting the last week of July, I think. And then this one that also color pulled funny. And this is not, for people watching this who maybe aren't as far into their crochet journey, with like making amigurumi or whatever, don't compare yourself to other people. Since I got like really deep into crocheting, and I really enjoy it, so probably I would say since around Christmas, but I would say probably somewhere around like the new year, I really dove into it, and I crochet every single day. Now, I crocheted almost every single day before that, but I was still learning a lot. I would say that this year is where I really got my bearings, and I know what I'm doing when I'm crocheting. So like, I don't have to worry when I pick up a pattern. Not that I worried really that much before, but I don't have to worry when I pick up a pattern or buy a pattern or decide to make something that I'm not going to be able to. Like, I'm confident that I'll be able to, even if there's something new I'm excited to learn that new thing, and I'll just YouTube it, or, you know, if they show me in the tutorial or whatever that I'm watching, or if I'm reading a pattern, maybe they explain it to me in there. So I would say that I like really got like a good handle on it in the new year with like probably just, I'm just saying smack on January 1st, is when I started feeling proficient. And then I crochet all day, every day. I am so sorry. I'm so thirsty. But yeah, so don't compare yourself to other people. If you're not as far, or if you're a lot further, everybody's at their own pace. Some people have been crocheting for 20 years. Some people have been crocheting for 1 month. And, you know, some people are just naturally adept. They're like, you know, they've barely been crocheting and they're already on the level of somebody that's been crocheting for 20 years. It's not a race. It's not a comparison. Crochet is just a fun thing that we can all bond over, and don't feel like you're not like as good as somebody else just because you're not at the same stage in your journey as them. And if they've been doing it for less time than you, and, you know, you feel like they're on your level and you're like, wow, I suck. You don't suck. Everybody just does this at their own pace, and it's just for you to enjoy. So if you're happy crocheting and you're enjoying yourself, that's all that matters. I just wanted to say that real quick. And then this is also something that I've shown in other videos, or another video, and it is this granny square, like messenger bag, side bag. And this one I know the tutorial for because it's a newer thing. Actually this hat and this granny square, bag were both Bag O Day crochet tutorials, which I will link in the description below. And so the only thing I did differently was I switched out this mushroom granny square pattern into it instead of the regular granny squares. I think she uses like a really pretty flower granny square for this one. But yeah, it's curling a little bit here. I want to put a button right here so that it can stay closed, because this is the inside. Don't look at that. That's the inside. I plan on lining this. I just still haven't. It's just been hanging. And then this is probably going to go to my sister. But she doesn't know that yet. But yeah, I love the I love this yarn that I did like the connecting details in. I'm not going to go into like a big spiel about this bag again because I already did that. But I really love that. So that's another granny square item I've made. This is probably the most recent granny square item I've made. And then I will pop in some pictures at the end of this with pictures of that hat that I made, this one, because I don't have the hat anymore to include it. But I'll pop in a picture or two of it, and I'll pop in a picture or two of some of my mushroom granny square hats. But yeah, that's my granny square, National Granny Square Day video. I hope you guys enjoyed my little walkthrough story of my crochet journey told via granny squares. And I hope that you guys have a great day today. Maybe crochet a granny square or two. And I hope that everybody is doing well and staying safe. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!